hey, ever notice that? Just a simple sound, maybe you say something like, hey, what's the weather? Or play my favorite music.
Uh-huh.
And just like that, something changes, the lights might shift, a song starts playing, or you get the info you needed, right?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, really, how just a few words can instantly, change your environment or give you information.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really close look at those AI voice assistants that are kind of increasingly living in our homes and our pockets, too.
Right. We're talking about the Alexis, the Google Assistants, the Cirrus.
Exactly. And we're trying to look at them not just as like simple gadgets answering
No
questions.
more than that. They're
Yeah.
genuinely evolving AI companions, aren't they? Weaving themselves into our daily lives in ways we might not even fully realize yet.
That's the angle.
Mm.
And our exploration today, it's really fueled by a fantastic stack of material shared by one of our listeners. We've been digging through a lot of articles, some research papers, market data.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground, everything from the nitty-gritty technical stuff and market trends, right through to some really important discussions about privacy, fears,
Right.
security, and some really fascinating ideas about where they're headed.
So our mission with this deep dive is to really unpack all of that for you. We want to pull out the most important bits, the surprising facts, the key
To give
insights.
you a clear picture, right?
Yeah.
Where did these assistants come from? What can they actually do now? And where might they be going next?
Think of it as getting a handle on the tech that's becoming so well integrated into everything we do.
Yeah, understanding the implications. Because honestly, whether you actively use a smart speaker every day or you avoid them completely,
They're still changing things, how we interact with technology, our homes.
definitely.
So here's the question for you. Maybe you've got speakers all over the house. Maybe you just chat with Siri on your phone sometimes. Or perhaps you've deliberately steered clear. Why should you care about diving into this with us? Well, because as all this information we've looked at shows, understanding how they work, what data they use, where it's all heading, it's pretty fundamental, actually.
Absolutely. For navigating the world we live in now, which is just getting more connected and automated all the time.
Okay, let's start unpacking. The ubiquitous AI assistant, more than just a speaker.
Right. Let's kick things off by setting the scene. What exactly are we talking about when we say AI smart home assistants?
Yeah, because it's more than just the speaker itself, isn't it?
Totally. We think of the familiar devices, sure, like, the Google Nest Audio, that big oval one, or the little round Nest Mini.
Got it.
But the material we dug into makes it really clear they represent something much bigger than just those standalone speakers.
And the research points to like three main players really dominating the smart home assistant space, right?
Yeah, the big three, as they're often called. Amazon Alexa, probably the first one many people think of. Then Google Assistant and Apple Siri.
And others exist, but maybe not as integrated into the home.
Exactly. There's Samsung Bixby, Microsoft Cortana,
Hmm.
but the data shows they just don't have the same foothold when it comes to controlling your smart home stuff.
Okay, and that's a key point. They aren't just in those speakers or smart displays like an Echo Show or a Google Nest Hub.
No, far from it. The material kept emphasizing this. They're embedded everywhere now. Your smartphone, obviously.
Right.
But also built into lots of new TVs, integrated into cars, popping up in all sorts of third-party gadgets. They're really spreading out.
And looking back at the market history, Amazon definitely got the jump on everyone.
Oh, for sure. They launched the original Echo speaker back in 2014,
Hmm.
and they moved fast to build out the biggest ecosystem of compatible devices right away.
The number was huge, wasn't it? Something like over 100,000 compatible devices.
Yeah, works with Alexa, a massive number.
Mm.
It meant you could control a ton of different gadgets with their assistant pretty early on.
Then Google Assistant came along a bit later.
Yeah, around 2016 with their Google Home devices.
Yeah.
And Google, well, they played to their strength in the search.
Right. So their assistant was really good at answering general questions from the start.
Exactly, leveraging that massive search power.
And then there's Siri, which actually has been around the longest.
That's true since 2011 on the iPhone. And
Yeah.
Siri is just deeply woven into everything Apple, your phone, your watch, your Mac, the HomePod speakers.
So it's a very cohesive experience if you're in that Apple world.
Definitely. Very tightly integrated ecosystem.
Okay, now here's something in the material that really jumped out at me. A real aha moment, you could say.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
It's the actual ownership numbers for dedicated smart speakers. In the US, it's still, well, surprisingly low.
Right. As of 2024, the data showed only about 29% of adults in the U.S. actually own a smart speaker.
29%. So wait, that means Nearly 3/4 of American adults don't have an Echo or a Nest speaker or a HomePod.
That's what the numbers suggest.
Yeah.
It's much higher non-ownership than you might guess.
Wow. Okay, so there's still a lot of room for growth in just selling those speaker devices.
Definitely. And this is the crucial insight that completely changes the perspective if you look beyond just the speakers.
And include the assistants on phones and cars and TVs.
Exactly. Then usage becomes, as the research described it, ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. Okay, how ubiquitous are we talking? Give me the big number.
Okay, brace yourself. By 2024, there were an estimated 8.4 billion digital voice assistants in use.
Totally.
8.4 billion. That can't be right. Is that a typo?
It's not a typo. The material specifically called this out because, yes, that figure actually exceeds the entire world's population.
Whoa. Okay, my mind is slightly blown.
Right. It's staggering. And what it means is you're interacting with voice AI probably way more often than you even realize.
Every time I ask Siri for directions or use Google Assistant on my phone.
Or use voice commands in your car. Yeah. You're part of that 8.4 billion figure. It's not just about that speaker sitting on your counter. That completely reframes the scale of this tech. It's not some niche gadget for early adopters anymore.
Not at all. It's becoming a fundamental way people interact with devices, used by billions daily.
Even just looking at the U.S.
Yeah, the projections for the U.S. alone show that by 2025, over 153 million people, that's around 37% of the population, will be using some form of voice assistant.
So even if dedicated speakers aren't in every single home yet, the underlying voice AI is already deeply, deeply ingrained.
Absolutely. For a huge chunk of the population, it's already a daily interaction model.
Okay. That gives us a much clearer sense of just how widespread this is in all its forms. So what are they actually doing? What are the core capabilities? Let's dig into how they function based on what we've read. 2, how these assistants actually work, capabilities and functions.
Okay, so at its core, the big promise, the main selling point is convenience, right?
Hands-free control, using your voice.
Exactly. And that seems simple, but the tech behind it, as the research details, is pretty sophisticated.
We're talking about natural language processing, NLP.
Right, NLP and advanced speech recognition. That's what lets the assistant understand you even if you phrase things differently.
Yep.
You don't need to memorize exact commands.
So I can say, Alexa, turn on the kitchen lights. Or maybe, hey, Google, could you play some jazz music? And it gets the idea.
Yeah, it understands the intent. And the material mentioned how much better they're getting.
At handling accents, dialects, that kind of thing.
Definitely. And also, some are getting better at handling follow-up questions, like Google Assistant, which can sometimes carry on a bit of a conversation without you needing to say, hey, Google, every single time.
Which makes it feel a bit less robotic, more natural.
Much more fluid, yeah.
Okay, but where the real power seems to kick in, based on the research, is with home automation and routines.
Yeah, this is a huge capability. This is where you bundle multiple actions together.
Instead of giving like 5 different commands or opening 3 different apps.
Right, one single phrase triggers a whole sequence.
The classic example we saw mentioned everywhere is Alexa, good morning.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Okay, so in a well-set-up smart home, that one phrase could, turn on specific lights, adjust the thermostat to your wake-up temperature, read you the news headlines and the weather.
Maybe even start the coffee maker.
If it's plugged into a smart plug, absolutely. The research noted Alexa routines can string together like up to 99 actions.
99, wow.
Yeah, which shows you the potential complexity you can automate. Google Routines and Siri Shortcuts offer similar powerful automation.
And it's not just voice commands that trigger these routines.
Good point. The research highlighted you can schedule them for specific times, like turn on porch lights at sunset.
Or based on sensors.
Exactly. Like your assistant could announce the mail has arrived if you have a smart sensor on your mailbox. That kind of reactive automation.
Which leads us naturally to integration with IoT devices. Maybe we should quickly define IoT. It comes up constantly.
Good idea. IoT just stands for Internet of Things. Basically, it's all those everyday physical objects, light bulbs, thermostats, locks, cameras, appliances, you name it.
But they're connected. They have sensors and software.
Right. They can collect and exchange data over the internet. So IoT integration is about how the voice assistant acts as the central hub, the controller, for all these different connected gadgets in your home.
Got it. The assistant is the brain telling the smart things what to do.
Precisely. And the research showed some differences here. Alexa really stands out for just how many devices it works with.
That 100,000 plus works with Alexa number again.
Yeah, it means you have a huge choice of compatible products from countless manufacturers.
Google Assistant also works with tens of thousands through its Google Home platform.
And Siri uses Apple's HomeKit ecosystem. Now, historically, HomeKit had fewer compatible devices.
But it was known for being quite secure.
Very secure, yes. But the landscape is changing significantly now, thanks to a development the research emphasized quite a bit.
You're talking about Matter. What's the big deal with Matter?
Matter is this new industry standard for smart home devices. And its significance, according to everything we read, is interoperability, meaning a Matter-certified device is designed to work across different ecosystems. So you buy one Matter light bulb.
And I can control it with Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant. Seriously.
That's the promise.
Mhm.
Set it up once, control it with whichever assistant you prefer, or even multiple assistants in the same home.
Okay, that sounds like a genuinely big step, making smart homes less of a walled garden for each brand.
It really is. It should make things much easier and more flexible for you as a consumer.
Beyond just controlling things, the research talked about how these assistants get, quote, smarter over time. Contextual learning and personalization. How does that work?
This is where the AI starts to learn about you and your household. They use voice recognition, like Alexa's voice profiles or Google's voice match.
To tell who's talking.
Exactly. So it can give personalized responses. It knows to read your calendar, play your music, deliver messages meant for you because it recognizes your voice.
And they learn your habits.
Yeah. The material mentioned things like Google Assistant learning your commute and warning you about traffic proactively.
Or Alexa's hunches.
Right, suggesting things based on your patterns, like
Yeah.
usually turn off the living room light around now, want me to do that.
Yeah.
It's trying to anticipate based on past behavior.
The research also seemed to praise Google Assistant for handling more complex, sort of multi-step conversations.
It did, leveraging Google's huge knowledge graph from search. The example given was asking something really specific like,
Find a nearby Thai restaurant that's open late and has outdoor seating.
exactly. It can understand that complex request, find the relevant info, and maybe even help you call them. It shows a move towards more natural, layered conversations.
And you can add more functions through third-party creations.
Absolutely. Alexa has its skills over 100,000 of them. Little voice apps for specific things like ordering pizza, checking your bank balance, playing games.
And Siri has shortcuts for custom voice commands triggering app actions.
Right. So the assistants aren't just limited to what Amazon, Google, or Apple built in.
Yeah.
They can be extended.
Lastly, the research covered multi-device and multi-room features.
Yeah, this is key for covering your whole home. Having multiple speakers means you can talk to the assistant anywhere.
And play music everywhere at once.
Synchronized multi-room audio, yeah. And some systems let you hand off tasks like ask a question on a speaker, see the answer pop up on a smart display.
And this leads towards that idea of ambient computing, like Amazon's Alexa plus, say.
Exactly. The idea that the assistant and your interactions can follow you seamlessly from your home speaker to your phone to your car.
And Siri has similar continuity within the Apple ecosystem.
Right. It's not just about having lots of devices. It's about them working together smoothly.
Okay, so let's recap the capabilities based on the research. They understand natural language, control tons of devices, automate complex routines, learn and personalize, get extended by third-party apps, and coordinate across multiple devices.
Pretty much sums it up. They're sophisticated AI interfaces aiming to be the central hub for your connected life, moving towards real conversational intelligence.
And they really are trying to be the control center, aren't they?
That seems to be the goal.
Okay, that's a solid technical picture. But who's actually using them day to day? And maybe more importantly, why are so many people not using dedicated smart speakers? Let's look at the market, user behavior, and the roadblocks. 3, who's using them and how? Market behavior and obstacles.
Okay, so the market journey. The research laid this out pretty clearly. It started with, explosive growth. Amazon got in early with Echo.
And they dominated, right, initially.
Hugely. Captured a massive share of early smart speaker sales. But the material shows the market's, maturing now.
Meaning growth is slowing down or just shifting.
Still growing overall,
Mm.
but the market share for new devices being shipped is more spread out. Amazon's global share for speakers is now closer to like 25–30%.
Because Google, Apple, others have gained ground.
Exactly. Though interestingly, Alexa is still seen as the most used home assistant overall in Western markets, but Google is right there behind them.
Let's go back to those U.S. adoption stats again because they're fascinating. Only 29% of U.S. adults own a dedicated smart speaker.
Right, that 71% non-ownership figure for the speakers themselves.
Yeah.
It's still really striking.
Definitely shows the dedicated device market isn't saturated yet.
Not even close.
Okay.
But among the people who do own one, the breakdown we saw was interesting too. About 66% have an Amazon Echo.
Okay, still the majority of owners.
Yeah. Then about 24% have a Google Home or Nest device, and 18% have an Apple HomePod.
And people often have more than one.
Right. The material pointed out it's common to own multiple devices, sometimes even from different brands, which is interesting.
And globally, we keep coming back to that staggering 8.4 billion voice assistants across all platforms by 2024.
It's the anchor statistic, really. It reminds us of the sheer scale,
Right.
even if it's not all happened on dedicated speakers.
And the U.S. projection, 153 million users by 2025. Over a third of the population using some kind of voice assistant.
Infirms it's mainstream now, even if often via the phone in your pocket.
So how are people actually using these devices day to day? What did the research say about habits?
A key finding was that about 52% of smart speaker owners use their device daily.
Okay, so for over half the owners, it's not just sitting there gathering dust. It's part of the routine.
Exactly. It becomes integrated for many who adopt them.
So what are those daily routines? What are the top uses?
The research was very clear on this, and it's maybe simpler than you'd expect. The most common tasks are pretty fundamental.
Right.
Number 1, playing music, used by 74% of owners. Number 2, checking the weather, 66%. And number 3, setting timers or alarms, 58%.
Huh. So despite all the fancy AI and complex smart home control we just talked about, the main things people do are still the basics: music, weather, timers.
Pretty much. Other frequent uses include getting news updates, asking simple factual questions like measurement conversions or spelling.
Things you might Google otherwise.
Right. Controlling smart lights and thermostats is up there too, and adding items to shopping lists. But the overwhelming driver, according to the research, convenience.
Especially when your hands are full.
Exactly. Cooking in the kitchen, getting dressed, multitasking. That's where voice really shines for people.
And that probably dictates where they put these things in the house.
Makes sense, right? The most popular spots are the living room, 52% of devices are there, the bedroom, 25%, and the kitchen, 22%. High traffic, multitasking zones.
And we said many people have more than one device.
Yeah, 41% own 2 or more, with 30% owning exactly 2, often for multi-room audio or just ensuring they can issue a command from anywhere.
What about using them for shopping? Did the research touch on that?
It did. Found that about 13.6% of Americans use voice assistants for shopping-related things, searching for products, maybe adding to a cart.
But actually buying stuff with voice.
Much less common. The research highlighted voice purchasing, completing the sale just by speaking, isn't widespread. The big barrier, trust.
People are hesitant to give payment details or confirm orders by voice.
Yeah, especially for anything expensive. Voice purchases tend to be low-risk things, buying digital music, maybe reordering coffee pods you always buy.
Okay, so the potential for voice commerce is there, but the trust isn't fully established for most users yet. How do people feel about the assistants for the tasks they do use them for, like music and weather?
Satisfaction is generally pretty high for those core tasks that work well. The research cited figures like 90% finding voice search easier than typing,
Wow, that's high.
and 89% finding voice interaction more convenient overall. So that core benefit of convenience really resonates.
Okay, but the material also spent a lot of time on the obstacles, the frustrations, the reasons why that 71% don't own a smart speaker or why even owners might limit their use.
Yes, this is crucial. What's holding people back or causing friction?
What are the main culprits, according to the research?
One of the biggest is limited understanding and errors. Even though the tech's way better, they still mess up sometimes.
Miss your commands, get confused by background noise.
Exactly. Or just say, sorry, I don't understand that. The accuracy stats vary. Google often cited around 93%, Siri 83%, Alexa 80% in one test. But errors happen.
And that discourages people from trying more complex things.
Right. You tend to stick to the simple commands you know will work reliably. Another major hurdle is a lack of awareness of features. The research called it an education gap.
People just don't know what the devices can do, beyond music and timers.
Pretty much. Many users never explore creating custom routines, linking different smart home devices, or using those third-party skills or shortcuts. The potential is there, but it's underutilized because people aren't aware or don't know how to set it up.
Okay, this next one came up again and again in the material as a huge barrier: privacy and trust concerns.
Absolutely. This was a massive theme. The research found over half of people who don't own a smart speaker cite privacy as the main reason why.
50%.
Yeah. And even people who own them are often hesitant. They might not put one in the bedroom, or they won't use features like voice purchasing because they're worried about being listened to or having their data misused.
That whole always listening perception, whether technically accurate or not, is a major block.
Huge hurdle for wider adoption and for people really integrating them deeply into their lives. The research also noted challenges around multilingual and speech support.
They struggle with accents sometimes, or bilingual homes.
They can, yeah. While they're improving, Google's pretty good, supporting over 30 languages, even a bilingual mode. The experience can still be patchy for many non-native speakers, dialects, or households switching languages. Affects usability for a lot of people.
And lastly, some people just aren't convinced they need one. They see it as a gimmick.
Yeah, the research mentioned this perception. If you haven't experienced the convenience of a good routine or seamless smart home control, you might just see the basic stuff and think, my phone does that already. The perceived need isn't strong enough to buy a dedicated device.
So overcoming that gimmick perception requires showing real, tangible value.
Exactly. Clearer benefits, more reliable performance, easier setup.
Okay, so while voice AI is becoming common via phones and cars, the future of dedicated smart home assistants really hinges on tackling these issues: better accuracy, educating users, building serious trust around privacy, and improving support for diverse users.
That nails it. And since privacy and trust were such dominant themes, let's really dedicate the next section to unpacking those critical privacy, security, and ethical issues raised in the research. 4. The shadow side: privacy, security, and ethical implications. Right, this area got a lot of attention in the research, and honestly, it presents probably the biggest set of challenges for these voice assistants.
It starts with that fundamental concern. They're always listening, right?
Well, yes and no. The material clarifies they're constantly listening for the wake word. The microphone is technically active 24/7.
But they're supposed to only start recording and sending audio to the cloud after they hear Alexa or Hey Google or Siri.
That's the design, yes. But accidental activations happen. A lot.
How often are we talking?
The research cited a pretty startling statistic. 64% of people reported their voice assistant accidentally activated at least once in the past month.
64%. Wow. So 2/3 of users had it wake up unexpectedly recently.
Yeah. It gets triggered by things on TV, background chatter, words that just sound like the wake word. And when that happens.
It sends a snippet of audio to the cloud, audio you didn't intend to send.
Exactly. And that snippet could easily capture bits of private conversation. The research reminded us of those well-publicized cases.
Like the one where Alexa accidentally recorded a family's chat and sent it to someone in their contacts?
Right. That kind of incident just pours fuel on the fire of user anxiety, makes the fear feel very tangible.
And beyond accidents, there are the broader concerns about data collection and potential surveillance.
Definitely. The research confirms these companies collect and store data from your interactions, the recordings, the transcriptions.
The official reason is always to improve the service and personalize things.
Which is partly true. The AI does learn from data. But it understandably makes people nervous about what's being collected and who might access it.
The material specifically revisited that whole 2019 controversy, didn't it? About humans reviewing voice snippets.
Yes, the revelation that employees or contractors were listening to anonymized user recordings sparked huge outrage. The idea of a stranger potentially hearing something private from your home, even if anonymized, felt like a major breach of trust.
And that feeds the fear. The research said 41% of people actively worry their assistant is listening or recording them beyond just waiting for the command.
Right, and that perception, accurate or not, directly impacts trust. As we said, the research found over 90% of people who flat out refuse to use voice assistants cite privacy or security as the main reason.
So how did the companies react? What have they done to try and address these fears?
The research detailed several steps. They've definitely added more user controls.
Like being able to review and delete your voice history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can usually go in, see the recordings, listen to them, delete them individually or all at once. They added auto-delete options too, automatically wiping history after 3, 18, or 36 months.
And options to opt out of human review programs.
Yes, that became a standard offering after the backlash. And Alexa even added that quick command, delete what I just said.
Plus, the physical mute buttons on the devices themselves.
Right. The research noted those hardware buttons that electrically disconnect the microphone are standard now. Companies like Amazon really emphasize them as a way for you to be absolutely sure it's not listening.
The material also contrasted the different platforms' approaches to privacy.
It did.
Yeah.
It generally positioned Apple and Siri as taking a more privacy-forward stance from the start.
Because more processing happens on the device itself.
Yeah, a larger chunk of Siri requests, especially for device control or personal data lookups, are handled locally on your iPhone or HomePod. The audio doesn't necessarily go to Apple's servers for everything.
And they use random identifiers, less linked to your main account.
Right, compared to Amazon or Google, Apple tends to tie less voice data directly to your specific user identity for analysis and keeps logs for shorter periods. It's generally seen as more privacy-preserving.
But the trade-off might be Siri sometimes feels less smart.
That's the potential downside mentioned. Because it has less centralized data to learn from, it might not handle complex, context-heavy queries as well as Google Assistant sometimes can. But it's important to remember even Apple wasn't immune again. They also had issues with contractors hearing private audio and had to adjust their practices.
So it's this constant balancing act, isn't it? Using data to improve the AI versus protecting user privacy.
It's the core tension. And it extends beyond just the voice recordings. Think about the security of the IoT integration.
Connecting your door locks, cameras, alarm system.
Yeah, you're linking sensitive home functions to the assistant. That creates potential vulnerabilities.
The research mentions some unusual theoretical attacks, like lasers through windows.
Yeah, researchers demonstrate those kinds of proofs of concept. More realistically, the research raised the risk of voice spoofing someone yelling, "Alexa, unlock the door," through an open window.
Though they have safeguards now, right? PIN codes for sensitive stuff.
Yes, manufacturers have added pins or other confirmations for actions like unlocking doors or disarming alarms. But the research stressed that a huge part of your smart home security actually depends on your basic account security.
Strong passwords, two-factor authentication on your Amazon, Google, or Apple account.
Absolutely crucial, because if someone hacks that account, they could potentially control your home via the Assistant's app or web interface.
And just the sheer amount of data, collected routines, schedules, questions asked, makes these companies huge targets for data breaches.
Which leads to those broader surveillance and Big Brother concerns the research discussed. Deeper ethical questions about tech giants gathering such intimate data from inside our homes.
And the trend is often towards more cloud processing, not less.
Yeah, Amazon's recent moves suggest that. Which worries people. Fears of profiling, targeted ads based on overheard conversations, even government subpoenas for voice records.
Have law enforcement actually tried to get recordings?
The research mentioned cases where they have sought recordings as part of investigations.
So companies are publishing transparency reports, pushing privacy marketing like Apple does?
Offering auto-delete options, opt-outs. They're trying to show they're taking it seriously. But the fundamental distrust lingers for many.
The research also touched briefly on the ethics of the AI's answers.
Right. Assistants can give wrong or biased information. Companies work hard to curate responses on sensitive topics, health, politics to avoid spreading misinformation, and they try to design AI personas that are neutral and avoid opinions.
And concerns about kids using them?
Yeah, making sure interactions are age-appropriate, handling data from minors correctly.
Yeah.
That's led to things like Amazon's Kids Alexa with built-in safety features and COPPA compliance in the U.S.
Okay, so summing up this critical section, privacy and security are arguably the biggest roadblocks. The always listening fear, accidental activations, data collection practices, security risks, it all impacts trust and limits how people use these devices.
Absolutely. Finding solutions, more user control, robust security, maybe more on-device processing for sensitive stuff is essential for the future trustworthiness and acceptance of this tech. It's where technology and ethics absolutely have to walk hand in hand.
That's a really thorough look at the shadow side. Let's shift gears now and make this more tangible. Let's look at some real-world impacts and specific case studies from the research. How are people actually benefiting today? The real-world impact, case studies and examples.
Yeah, let's move from the concerns to the tangible benefits.
Yeah.
The material gave some really compelling examples of how these assistants are making a real difference in people's lives right now.
One key area was simplifying daily routines, especially for, say, a busy family.
Right. Picture a family, let's call them the Johnsons. They've got maybe an Echo in the kitchen, a Nest Hub display, smart lights, a smart thermostat.
Their morning routine used to be chaotic, running around flipping switches.
Exactly. Now one person can just say, "Alexa, start my day."
And that single phrase sets off a whole chain reaction described in the material.
Totally. Lights gently fade on in the bedrooms, the main lights turn on downstairs, the thermostat kicks in, the assistant gives them a quick news and weather update.
Maybe starts the coffee maker brewing via that smart plug.
Precisely.
Yay.
It's orchestrating maybe a dozen little actions instantly with one command. Same in the evening. Hey Google, good night. Could turn off all the lights, lock the doors, lower the thermostat, maybe play quiet music for the kids.
The big benefit highlighted there is reclaiming time, right? And just reducing that mental load of remembering everything.
Yeah, no more running around,
Yeah.
as one source put it. The material even mentioned a fun Amazon ad concept with a complex Rube Goldberg machine being replaced by a single voice command. Really illustrates simplifying complexity.
And things like geolocation triggers, arriving home and lights turn on.
Yeah, welcome home announcements, lights adjusting as your phone gets close. It's about streamlining those repetitive, mundane parts of the day.
Now, a really powerful case study was about enhancing accessibility for people with disabilities or the elderly.
This is where the tech feels truly life-changing, based on the research. Imagine someone, let's call her Maria, maybe she has arthritis, limited mobility.
Simple tasks become difficult.
Right, but with voice control, she can turn on the hallway light, adjust the thermostat, maybe change the TV channel, all without having to physically move or struggle with small buttons. It empowers her independence in her own home.
The research quoted experts calling this genuinely transformative.
It did, highlighting how voice input makes homes more accessible and fosters self-reliance for people with chronic illnesses or disabilities. There was a quote from an expert, Richard Streitz.
What did he say?
He pointed out that for elderly people dealing with memory issues or motor skill problems, just being able to ask the smart device to do something, turn on the TV, check the time, instead of fumbling for a remote or switch they might forget where it is, it allows them to retain a level of independence.
Which is huge for quality of life.
Invaluable. And it's not just control. The assistant can be a bit of a companion too, asking for calendar reminders, getting news, even just asking for a joke provides interaction.
The research also mentioned uses in care settings.
Yeah, staff in assisted living using them for announcements, or caregivers using features like drop-in to easily check on a loved one remotely via audio or video on a smart display. This case study really shows how these assistants can help create more supportive, accessible environments for vulnerable groups.
Another major application area discussed was smart home security and energy management.
Right, how assistants integrate with security systems. The material mentioned a family, the Thompsons, with cameras linked to Google Assistant.
So they can see camera feeds just by asking.
Yeah. Hey Google, show me the backyard camera, and the feed pops up on their Nest Hub. Or if a motion sensor triggers, the display can automatically show that camera.
And voice alerts, too.
Exactly. Like Alexa announcing motion detected at the front door, or even living room window sensor opened. It acts like a sort of talking security guard, giving you immediate specific information.
And it helps with saving energy.
Through routines, definitely. Saying, Alexa, we're leaving, could trigger a routine that turns off all unnecessary lights, lowers the heating or AC, and arms the security system. Then, I'm home, reverses it.
And you can check things remotely. Did I lock the front door?
Yeah, check the status via the app, and then use a voice command to lock it if you forgot. That peace of mind is valuable.
The material even mentioned using assistants for things like irrigation schedules or getting alerts if an appliance has a problem.
Or setting up an emergency contact feature like, Alexa, call for help, which could be vital if someone falls and can't reach a phone. It positions the assistant as this central integrator, boosting both safety and efficiency.
Lastly, the research touched on entertainment and education uses.
Yeah, they become quite versatile household helpers. People use them in the kitchen all the time, getting recipes read out loud step by step.
Hands-free cooking instructions.
Totally. And parents use them to help kids with homework, what's 7 times 8, or play educational games, tell stories.
The research mentioned uses during the pandemic, like quizzes or animal sounds for kids.
Yeah, keeping kids engaged and learning at home. And smart displays are great for easy, voice-initiated video calls. Hey Google, call grandma.
So they become the household DJ, trivia host, sous chef, translator.
Pretty much. The research used a good analogy. The assistant acts like the glue that holds different functions together, saving you from juggling multiple apps and remotes.
So these case studies really underline the themes of convenience, empowerment, accessibility, security.
Exactly. Whether it's simplifying chores, enabling independence, enhancing safety, or just making life a bit more fun or informed, the research shows the impact comes from tailoring the assistant's capabilities to your specific needs.
They're clearly more than just novelties for many people, providing real, sometimes profound benefits.
Definitely moving into the realm of genuinely useful tools.
That gives us a great sense of the real-world application. Now that we've seen what they do and how they're used, let's compare the big players more closely based on the research. Who does what best? 6. Who does what best? A comparative analysis of the top platforms.
Okay, so the comparison. The research material really broke down Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri side by side. And while they all handle the basics we've discussed, they definitely have different personalities, you could say, different strengths, weaknesses, different core philosophies.
Let's go through the key comparison points from the material. First up, their origins and the size of their ecosystems.
Right. Alexa launched 2014 with Echo. Biggest third-party device support, that 100,000 plus number.
Yeah.
Also tons of third-party skills, found mostly on Amazon hardware but licensed widely.
Google Assistant, 2016, built into billions of Android phones, plus their Nest hardware. Works with tens of thousands of devices via Google Home.
And Siri, oldest one, 2011, native to all Apple Gear iPhones, Macs, watches, HomePods. Smart Home focuses on HomeKit devices, historically fewer but growing, especially with Matter.
Okay, how about basic voice interaction? Understanding you, the wake words.
Alexa has flexible wake words, Alexa, Echo, Computer. The research noted it's great for direct commands, but maybe less smooth on complex conversational stuff compared to Google. Mostly cloud processing, though Alexa Plus aims to improve conversational AI.
Google Assistant uses Hey Google, or OK Google. The research consistently ranked Google top for understanding natural language complex questions, remembering context, continued conversation without repeating the wake word. Big advantage from Google search integration. Some quick stuff happens on device, but mostly cloud AI, moving towards the Gemini model.
Siri uses Hey Siri, or just Siri. Best with short, precise commands, especially tied to Apple apps on your device. Often less flexible with random questions or back-and-forth chatter. Needs specific phrasing sometimes. Apple pushes on-device processing for privacy and speed, which is good, but can limit its access to broader cloud knowledge compared to the others. Doesn't really handle multi-turn conversations well.
What about answering general knowledge questions? This seems like Google's home turf.
Absolutely. Google Assistant was consistently rated best in class here in the research. It taps into Google Search and the Knowledge Graph for detailed, context-rich answers. Accuracy around 93% in tests. Sounds pretty natural, too.
Alexa was seen as decent, but maybe less comprehensive. Accuracy around 80%.
Yeah, often gives shorter answers or relies on specific skills to pull information beyond its core knowledge base. Siri generally ranked a bit lower on pure factual accuracy, around 83%, and struggles more with complex questions outside its main sources, like Wolfram Alpha, Wikipedia. Often just hands off to a web search on your phone, but it's very good at answering questions about your personal Apple data, calendars, messages, etc.
Okay, shifting to smart home control. Big differences here.
Significant ones, yeah. Alexa leads massively in just the sheer number of compatible devices, that 100K plus figure again. Research highlighted its powerful routines, conditional triggers. Some Echo devices even act as smart home hubs themselves. Plus, the skills provide custom controls, strength, maximum compatibility, flexibility. Google Assistant has very good device support too, tens of thousands via Google Home, strong with its own Nest products. Routines are powerful for scheduling and sequencing, maybe slightly less complex conditional logic than Alexa's historically, but improving. Voice match personalization is a plus. Siri is all about Apple's HomeKit, known for being very secure, very responsive with local control, but fewer devices overall, historically. Relies on HomeKit automations in the Home app and Siri shortcuts for complex stuff. Excellent if you're deep in the Apple HomeKit world, less versatile outside it.
What about multilingual support? We touched on this.
Google is the clear leader. Supports over 30 languages, plus that unique bilingual mode where it understands and responds in 2 chosen languages.
Siri supports over 20 languages. Pretty good localization.
Alexa supports maybe 10, 15 major languages. Typically operates in 1 primary language. So Google has the edge for multilingual households.
And Matter, the new standard. How does that change the comparison?
Big impact. The research stressed all 3 now support Matter. This helps level the playing field for device control. That Matter thermostat should work with any of them. Reduces hardware lock-in.
But the services are still separate. My Alexa skills don't work with Google.
Exactly. The lock-in remains at the service level. Your custom routines, skills, shortcuts, they stay within their own platform. But for basic device control, Matter is a huge step towards interoperability.
And overall accuracy and responsiveness. Any consensus?
Tests cited in the research generally put Google Assistant slightly ahead in overall accuracy and understanding than Siri, than Alexa. But honestly, for common everyday tasks, they're all pretty reliable now and constantly getting better. And looking ahead, all three are pushing hard on injecting more advanced generative AI Alexa, plus Gemini, Apple's AI work to make interactions much more conversational and capable. That's the next big race.
Okay, so summing up the identities based on the research. Alexa is the versatile all-rounder. Max compatibility, lots of skills, affordable entry, weak spots, maybe privacy perceptions, less smart Q&A than Google.
Sounds right. Google Assistant is the knowledge whiz. Best Q&A, understands context, multilingual champ, great with Google services. Weakness, maybe fewer third-party integrations than Alexa. And Siri is the privacy advocate. Seamless Apple integration, secure HomeKit control, good with Apple apps. Weakness, more limited outside the Apple ecosystem, needs precise commands sometimes.
So the best one really depends on, well, on you.
Exactly. Your phone, your other devices, what you prioritize, compatibility, smarts, privacy. For basic stuff, they all work well, and Matter helps smooth out the device differences going forward.
That's a really helpful comparison. We've covered the basics, the capabilities, the usage, the problems, the benefits, and the players. Let's wrap up by looking ahead. What's next for these assistants based on the research? Where is this all going? 7. What's next? Future outlook and the rise of ambient computing.
Okay, the future outlook. The research paints a picture that moves towards this idea of ambient computing or ambient intelligence.
Meaning the tech just disappears into the background, becomes part of the environment.
That's the vision. It's not just about talking to a speaker anymore. It's about technology being woven so seamlessly into your surroundings that interactions become fluid, context-aware, almost invisible.
Less like using a gadget, more like the house itself is smart and responsive.
Exactly. And a huge driver for this, according to the research, is developing more conversational and contextual AI.
Using that powerful generative AI we're seeing everywhere else.
Precisely. Things like Amazon's Alexa Plus initiative, Google integrating its Gemini models. The goal is to move way beyond simple commands and answers to truly natural, flowing conversations.
So you could have a longer chat and it remembers what you were talking about.
Yeah, maintains context, understands nuances. The research even mentioned internal Amazon goals to make Alexa more, like, charismatic, actively learning about users, maybe even asking personal questions to tailor future interactions.
Which immediately brings back those privacy flags, of course.
Always. But the idea is the AI gets smarter, not just from general data, but by really understanding you, your preferences, your habits, maybe even recognizing different people by voice and adjusting accordingly. And this ties directly into the concept of predictive and proactive assistance.
Moving from me telling it what to do to it anticipating what I might need.
Exactly. Acting on your behalf with permission. Building on features we see now, like Google's traffic alerts or Alexa's hunches, but making them much smarter.
So instead of me asking if I need an umbrella, it might just tell me, looks like rain later, you might want your umbrella.
That kind of thing. The ambient computing vision is that the tech starts to intuit your needs without you even speaking, as one source put it, a truly helpful background presence.
The research offered some pretty cool future examples.
Yeah, like arriving home and the house just prepares itself, lights adjust, music starts, temperature sets, maybe the oven preheats because it knows from your calendar you plan to cook.
And not just physical stuff, but digital tasks too, like checking you in for a flight.
Right. It's about the environment reacting to you based on learned patterns, context, your schedule. Truly personalized automation.
But for this to work, the assistant needs to be, well, everywhere, which means greater integration into daily environments.
It has to escape the speaker box. The research talked about AI embedded in smart glasses, in bathroom mirrors giving you news updates, in kitchen appliances you talk to directly.
In cars, becoming an extension of your home assistant, asking, did I lock the front door from the driver's seat?
Exactly. Computing woven into your surroundings, accessed mainly through voice, making interaction feel natural like talking to another person. Even in offices, controlling projectors, joining calls by voice.
But as it gets more personalized, uses more data. We circle back to that personalization versus privacy tension.
Huge tension. Using biometrics, voice recognition, maybe facial recognition via cameras on displays to tailor everything. Different responses for kids versus adults, adapting tone.
Requires collecting even more sensitive data. Raises the stakes on trust immensely.
Which means, the research stressed, we'll need even better, clearer privacy controls, more transparency, maybe even features like AI. Why did you suggest that? so you understand its reasoning.
And potentially more local processing, keeping sensitive data on the device.
That's a key potential trend. As chips get more powerful, more AI tasks could happen on the device itself, especially for privacy-sensitive things. Raw voice data stays home more often. Apple's already pushing this. Amazon and Google might follow more for speed and privacy reassurance. The future assistant is also likely to be more than just voice. The research talked about improved multimodal and emotional intelligence.
Combining voice with visuals on screens, or augmented reality.
Right. Asking about your schedule and seeing a timeline on the display, getting cooking instructions overlaid visually via your phone camera using AR, and potentially sensing emotion.
Detecting stress or sadness in your voice, and responding differently.
That's being explored, according to the research. Responding with more empathy, maybe suggesting calming music if it detects stress. It raises a whole new set of ethical questions, of course.
The research mentioned Amazon patents exploring things like detecting coughs or mood changes, suggesting actions based on that.
Yeah, moving into health monitoring territory, which is incredibly sensitive but potentially very powerful, which connects to the idea of assistants managing routine tasks and beyond pushing into true ambient AI.
Like the AI sorting your email and scheduling meetings for you in the background.
With permission, yeah. Or seamless continuity, start reading an article on your phone, get in the car, the assistant asks if you want it read aloud. Amazon's vision for Alexa following you across devices fits right here, maybe even linking home and work AI profiles eventually. And a big piece is integration with robotics and appliances.
AI powering actual robots in the home, like Amazon Astro.
For patrolling, fetching things, companionship, or smarter appliances telling your robot vacuum exactly where to clean or instructing your oven via voice. The assistant becomes the orchestra conductor for all these specialized AI devices. And finally, a potentially huge area, ambient health monitoring and safety.
Using the microphones or other sensors to monitor sleep, detect distress.
The research mentions studies looking at using sound analysis to detect snoring, sleep apnea patterns, even potentially critical events like falls or heart attacks.
Wow, so the assistant could become a kind of silent guardian.
With consent, that's the vision. Analyzing patterns, warning of potential issues, maybe even automatically calling for help if it detects a serious problem. An invisible safety net using sensors and AI.
This future sounds incredibly convenient, potentially life-saving, but also raises massive challenges and ethical questions.
Huge ones. Ensuring AI behaves ethically as it gets more autonomous. How do you correct it if it makes a mistake? Preventing over-reliance. Maybe needing standards for how different assistants could coordinate. And the security risks of having one unified AI profile with everything about you.
So summing up the future outlook from the research, it points towards this invisible, omnipresent AI everywhere, yet less intrusive, adapting to you, conversations replacing commands, proactive help, your home potentially taking care of you.
A fundamental shift in how we live with technology. But, and the research hammered this home, it all hinges on getting the privacy, security, and trust equation right. Success means delivering that convenience while being a respectful, trustworthy guardian of our personal lives. That's the tightrope they have to walk. Outro.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We went from just understanding what these AI voice assistants are and how incredibly widespread they've become.
Right, that 8.4 billion number is still sinking in.
To exploring their core tech, how people are really using them day to day, those critical privacy and trust issues that hold many back.
Comparing the big players, Alexa, Google, Siri, their strengths and weaknesses.
And finally, peering into that really fascinating, maybe slightly unnerving future of ambient AI woven into everything.
Yeah, we saw the amazing convenience and empowerment they offer, streamlining life, boosting independence, enhancing safety, providing information and fun.
But we also kept coming back to that crucial other side of the coin, the very real concerns about trust, accidental recordings, data collection, surveillance fears, the challenges of having always listening AI in our homes.
It's a definite duality.
We really hope this deep dive has given you, our listener, a much clearer, more nuanced perspective. Whether you use this tech constantly, you're cautious about it, or you're just learning, it's undeniably reshaping things, and getting a handle on it feels pretty essential.
Absolutely. And maybe just to leave you with one final thought, building on that future potential we talked about, that idea of ambient health monitoring. Imagine that future, maybe not too far off, where your home's AI isn't just passively waiting for commands, but it's constantly subtly analyzing sounds patterns, listening for signs you might be in trouble, detecting a fall, maybe signs of illness.
Ready to call for help even before you can ask for it yourself.
Exactly, like a digital guardian angel, always there.
That sounds incredibly reassuring on one level, an ultimate safety net.
It does. But it tees up a really profound question for all of us, doesn't it? How much of your personal privacy, that constant analysis of your environment, are you willing to trade for that potential level of safety and proactive care?
And who gets to draw that line between helpful monitoring and something more intrusive?
Exactly. Where does that balance lie?
Definitely something to mull over as this technology continues to evolve at lightning speed. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep thinking critically about the tech that shapes our world.